Imagine the Library of Alexandria. Millions of scrolls, centuries of knowledge, all lost to a single fire. Now look at your phone. We're told that this is the solution, that if we just scan everything, every letter, every map, every court record, history will be safe forever. It's just a few clicks away, right? But what if I told you that by saving history, we might actually be losing it? Today, we're asking a question that sounds simple but is actually kind of terrifying. Can digital archives really save the past, or are they just quietly rewriting it? In just the last 5 years, the way that we do history has completely flipped. We've moved from dusty basements to high-speed servers. Millions of documents are now online, making research more accessible than it's ever been in human history. But here's the catch. A digital archive isn't just a mirror of the past, it's a choice. And those choices are changing what we know and what we're allowed to know about where we came from. First, let's give credit where it's due. It used to be that if you wanted to see a primary source, you had to get a grant from a university, buy a plane ticket, and pray that the archives were open for you. Research was a luxury for those that could afford it. Today, that barrier is crashing down. The historian Roy Rosenzweig called this a culture of abundance. We aren't starving for info anymore, we're actually drowning in it. Whether you're a PhD student or just someone falling down a 2 a.m. Wikipedia rabbit hole, the democratization of knowledge is real. We can engage in the past in ways that were literally impossible just 20 years ago. But abundance does come with a hidden price tag. See, we tend to think of scanners as neutral tools. They aren't. Gerben Zogsma, a scholar in this field, points out that digitization always entails a selection of already selected materials. And today, that selection is increasingly driven by private tech giants. Look at the recent partnership between OpenAI and the Boston Public Library. OpenAI is helping fund the digitization of massive government archives. Now, on the surface, it's a win. More documents online. But remember, OpenAI isn't doing this out of the goodness of their own hearts. They need high-quality data to train their AI programs. When a private corporation bankrolls the archive, they often get influence into what gets prioritized. Historian Ian Milligan calls the stuff that's left behind the great undigitized. If a document doesn't fit a company's training needs or an institution's budget, it stays in the dark. We are effectively letting AI companies decide which parts of our history are worth seeing. And it's not just about what we pick. It's about how much is left behind. We see a massive digital library and think, wow, we must have everything. But the reality, it's an iceberg. Studies show that in many cultural collections, less than 60% of the items are even cataloged, let alone scanned. What we see online is a tiny fraction of the truth. And because digitization requires money, tech, and stable institutions, digital history often just reinforces the same old inequalities. If a country doesn't have the infrastructures to digitize its past, does its history just fade away? Then there's the big one. Is digital actually forever? Some people are incredibly optimistic. According to Gale ambassadors, we've basically cracked the code. They argue that with new technologies, we have better ways to safeguard information. Migrations to new file formats and regular backups have helped mitigate the risk of data loss. In the majority of cases, digitized documents are safe. It sounds reassuring, but in 2023, the world got a terrifying reality check. The British Library, one of the most prestigious institutions on Earth, was hit by a massive ransomware attack. A hacker group called Rysidia completely crippled their systems. They didn't just hide the data, they held it hostage, demanding a ransom of 20 Bitcoin to keep them from deleting or leaking it. For months, the library was forced into a pre-digital state. No online catalog, no digital access, no researchers allowed to see the files. The Guardian points out that while a physical piece of paper can sit in a dry room for 500 years and still be readable, a digital copy is vulnerable in ways that we are only just beginning to understand. A single line of code or a hacker in a different time zone can wipe out a century of preservation in an afternoon. Are we truly preserving history, or are we just making it easier to delete? So back to our question. Can digital archives save history? The answer is yes, but with a massive asterisk. Digital tech has given us a time machine, but that machine is biased. It's fragile and it's incomplete. Archives don't just store the past, they filter it. And if we aren't careful about how we build these digital libraries, we might wake up one day to find that the history we saved is only the history that the machines wanted us to see. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos about history and how historians work, hit subscribe. And let me know in the comments, would you rather trust a piece of paper or a hard drive with your legacy?